This is a true story. 4 years ago, on this very bridge, a tragedy took place. A girl, abandoned by her lover, was walking alone when 5 attackers dragged her into the woods. She fought, she screamed, but in the end, she was drowned in the river. From that night on, the bridge became cursed. Locals call it the Ghost Bride's Bridge. Strange events happen here. They say if you step onto the stairs, never count them. If someone calls your name, never turn around. Break the rules, and you'll see something you'll regret. Every year, students come here to test their courage. But in one horrifying event, 5 entered, 4 were found dead, and 1 vanished. A chilling figure was even caught on camera, but the scariest part? Their bodies were scattered in different locations, as if something or someone took them. The case was closed without answers. What really happened that night? Let's go back to where it all began. A group of students arrived at the bridge ready to live stream their challenge. One was chosen to play a ghost, while the others recorded. Before they began, they gave him one warning: don't count the steps and never turn around. But as the stream started, something was wrong. The camera picked up his voice. He was counting the steps. The group froze. This wasn't part of the plan. They rushed to stop him, but just as they reached him, he suddenly went silent. Then, a chair moved by itself. Terrified, they turned around. When they looked back, he was gone. The chair crashed to the ground. Panic set in. The group ran without looking back. But in the shadows, the man emerged, laughing. It was all a joke, or so he thought. He reached for his camera, but then he remembered. He broke the rule. His laughter faded. His hands shook as he pulled out his phone for light. But before he could turn it on, an unknown number called him. The sudden ringtone startled him. His phone slipped. It landed in the darkness. He didn't dare turn around. His breath quickened. Slowly, he reached back, feeling for his phone. But the more he reached, the further it seemed. He whispered, "Hey Siri!" The phone screen glowed. He sighed in relief and followed the light. But the second his foot stepped forward, the screen turned black. Yet, his fingers finally touched the phone. He wiped his sweaty hands and turned on the flashlight, unaware that his friends were now facing horrors of their own. Elsewhere, another man entered the restroom. From the next stall, a knocking sound echoed. Thump, thump. He crouched, checking under the door. Nothing. Silence. Then, bang! The stall door shook violently. His heart pounded. He cursed and shoved his phone under the stall to snap a picture, but then a hand reached out. It grabbed him. Ice-cold fingers dug into his skin. He yanked his arm away, breathless. Red marks burned on his wrist. Trembling, he stepped back. Suddenly, a bucket tipped over by itself, the sink filled with water. He rushed to turn off the faucets, but then his necklace slipped from his neck, falling into the water. He reached in to grab it. His fingers touched something soft. A strand of wet, tangled hair surfaced. His blood ran cold. Before he could react, a pair of hands grabbed him, dragging him into the sink. His screams never reached the outside world. Meanwhile, in another stall, a girl hurried to finish. She didn't know. She was already being watched. That night, only one survived, but even they refused to speak of what they saw. The Ghost Bride's Bridge still stands. The curse remains, and those who dare to break the rules never come back.